remember I was in this one dance class, and this girl at the end of class suggested to the group, she goes, "Hey, if anyone's interested in like any self-help books or any self-help podcasts, this person is really good." And it was The School of Greatness by Lewis Howes. And I read his book and I got addicted to personal development. So then I'm 19 years old, turning 20, and I've been working on my personal development for a couple of years. And I felt like I was ready for a relationship. I was like, Aneta, I've put in the work. I feel like I'm ready. I've been able to learn about emotions, learn about communication, but learning it and putting it into action is a totally different thing. So then when I turned 20, I met this guy that I got into a serious relationship with. And when I was 21, we ended up getting married, but it was so wildly toxic to the point where when I turned 23, I was like, I can't handle this anymore. And we ended up splitting ways. And from there, I needed to rebuild myself again, like just had this whole heartbreak situation, and then I needed to heal and I wanted to get deeper to why I was so in such an unhealthy relationship. And it wasn't a one-way street. It was both of us. So I can't sit here and play the blame game because I wasn't the best example either. But I had to really dive deep into the root and start my healing journey from there.
That's a journey. So I guess, so how many years have you been rebuilding yourself from that relationship? Welcome to Your Wordless podcast, the space where we redefine success, self-worth, and transformation. I am Nick Yaras, the soul-centered architect of transformation, helping you unlock your highest potential and build a legacy beyond limits. Now, whether it is self-mastery, career breakthroughs, or wealth creation, this is where change begins. Now let's dive in.
Yes, it's an honor to be here. Thank you, Nicolette.
Woo, okay. There's so much to unpack. Today, you're going to help us redefine self-worth, build confidence after a toxic relationship or relationships, right? Sometimes we get into one not knowing what is actually wrong, or usually it's rooted within ourselves, which I've figured out under my own journey as well. But people tend to be attracted to something they're familiar with. But yeah. So first up, can you first share with us what was it like growing up as Aneta Waclaw?
So, it's really interesting because I'm from Chicago, Illinois, in the States originally, but my parents are not from here. My parents are actually from Poland. So, when they were 18, they left Poland and they moved to America. And they raised my brother and I in the city of Chicago. And, I think they were great providers on the outside, but when it came to emotions, boundaries, communication, those are pretty much non-existent. And, I say this with as much grace as I can. Like, our parents did the absolute best they could, and you can't change the past. And I always say, like, you are not responsible for your trauma, but as you get older and you start to unpack and you start to understand like the situations that you were given when you were growing up, it's your responsibility to heal them. And growing up, it was interesting. I didn't have a lot of friends actually, because when my parents were raising my brother and I, they didn't know English. So I'm going to school in America. I don't know English because my parents taught us Polish. So I already felt like I was behind. And I always felt like either the kids were judging me or they making fun of me. So that also helps create a bad self-image on myself. And after I started to cultivate that bad self-image for myself, then I started to be mean to other kids. I was judgy. I wasn't friendly with them. And then I realized I didn't really have friends either because I was always being judgy. So then I had to tell myself, like, okay, Netta, like, if you want genuine, real friendships, you have to be nice with people and you have to mean it. So that's when I really started to like work on being kind and try to let go of the judgment. Well, like middle school, honestly, because I really didn't fit in. And say like I only fit in because I have a background as a dancer. So like the dance studio was my safe space. And that's where I felt like I had friends and that's where I felt like I had community. And I'm forever thankful for that. But that was kind of just keeping me afloat. And then as I was growing up, I just kept dancing. I did that for about 11 years. And then when I was like 17 years old, I remember I was in this one dance class, and this girl at the end of class suggested to the group, she goes, "Hey, if anyone's interested in like any self-help books or any self-help podcasts, this person is really good." And it was The School of Greatness by Lewis Howes. And I read his book and I got addicted to personal development. So then I'm 19 years old, turning 20, and I've been working on my personal development for a couple of years. And I felt like I was ready for a relationship. I was like, Aneta, I put in the work. I feel like I'm ready. I've been able to learn about emotions, learn about communication, but learning it and putting it into action is a totally different thing. So then when I turned 20, I met this guy that I got into a serious relationship with. And when I was 21, we ended up getting married, but it was so wildly toxic to the point where when I turned 23, I was like, I can't handle this anymore. And we ended up splitting ways. And from there, I needed to rebuild myself again, like just had this whole heartbreak situation, and then I needed to heal and I wanted to get deeper to why I was so in such an unhealthy relationship. And it wasn't a one-way street, it was both of us. So I can't sit here and play the blame game because I wasn't the best example either. But I had to really dive deep into the root and start my healing journey from there.
That's a journey. So I guess, so how many years have you been rebuilding yourself from that relationship? Are you stuck in a job that you don't love, feeling like you're meant for more? It is not in your head, it is in your soul. I am Nick Yaras, and I help high achievers like you break free from burnout, rewire self-doubt, and build a life aligned with purpose through coaching, hypnotherapy, and soul activation. Because let's face it, real wealth isn't just about money, it is about aligned and happy heart, mind, and soul. Now, remember, you are worthy and you are enough. Let's transform your life together. Visit www.thenicknerosholisticlifestyle.com to begin.
So I left in January of 2023 and I stayed in Chicago for about a year and a half. And I felt like I couldn't catch a break. Chicago's a fast-paced city and that's where I'm from. So I have friends, work, family, everything. I know the city like the back of my hand. So there's always distractions there. And it wasn't until I actually started working at my dream salon when I turned 24, because I was a hairstylist previously. So I was working at the salon and I started working at my dream salon. It was great. And then 8 months later, I get let go. And that's when I said, I need a break. So I decided to move abroad and I moved to Mexico. And when I moved to Mexico about almost a year ago, that's when I really started the healing journey, is literally starting a fresh slate.
Wow, I could resonate with that because when I was 26, I was just before the height of my career. So 26 was that, you know, I was climbing the corporate ladder. I was an accountant before. And then I met my ex-husband then, and we fell in love. At the time, I knew that I wanted to settle down, but for him, he wanted to settle down too. But there were red flags, but we chose not to see them. At least I did. My friends, they all loved me, and then they all said, Nick, I think you should give it some time. And we just met for 3 months, and then after that he proposed, and then we spent the next year. I spent the next year just preparing for the weddings. I guess in hindsight, we knew that we wanted to get into a union, but we didn't get into it with the right frame of mind, I would say. So I've done after that, after 2 years, we decided to separate ways as well. And I was at the height of my career, and then COVID happened, and that's when I started reevaluating all my life decisions in terms of my work, in terms of my relationship. Why am I feeling so worthless? I mean, hence the name of my podcast. That's the narrative that I said to myself every day. And why I'm pointing this out is because life can, as much as we love, we like to plan life as we want it to be, sometimes things just don't work out because they're not meant, we're not, our lessons for that life experiences, it it's meant to actually support us for our next level, and then next level could be a totally different thing. Now I would have never imagined me talking to people uh across the world. I kind of did in hindsight too, but then I couldn't see the way of how I would be able to do it because I chose the safe route too, which is becoming an accountant, getting the job, getting good pay, and all the shiny things. And I guess it's so important to unpeel and unravel the things that we carry within ourselves to really know where we're going next. Because I feel the universe, if you're meant to go path C, but you've always stuck to path A, somehow they'll find a way to nudge you or to push you or put like something. It could be a death in the family or a bankruptcy or a let go of a dream job in your way for you to point you to the right direction. And so I could relate so much with that story, Aneta. So thank you.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting that you said that about the challenges and the setbacks. The challenges and the setbacks are actually there to build us. And I think once we get into that perspective of these are here as stepping stones. Like, I would actually view them as stepping stones because my ex would always like to go out with his friends, and I didn't like it that much. I would ask him to spend time with me, and he didn't want to. So every time I looked at every time he goes out with his friends and just leaves me at home upset, then those are stepping stones for me to become more emotionally stronger. Frame it this way. If you want flowers, don't be surprised when you get rain. You can't get the rainbow without the rain. So once you start putting it into perspective that everything is working for your favor and for your good, that's when things really start to bloom as well.
For you to experience pain, there must be love. It's the duality of life. I love when you put that into perspective. And sometimes we as humans, we forget about these things. When we're in the pit of that, we think, oftentimes we will think, why me? Right? Oh, woe is me. Um, but right now, as we unlock or as we go deeper, at least that's what I did, and understand and see it from different kind of lens of life, you get more compassionate and understanding of where you are and where people are coming from. And that's the beauty when you actually get to see it from their point of view and not judge when they act the way they acted, be it our parents, be it our ex-partners, be it our current partners, right? And so, Aneta, are you still a hairstylist, or have you changed your trajectory completely? Hi, I'm Nick Nieras, your host of the Your Wordless podcast. Now, if this real raw stories hit home, don't wait. Please follow, like, and subscribe my Spotify and YouTube. For bite-sized inspirational reels, follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Don't wait, your transformation starts today. Thank you, and bye for now.
I completely changed everything. So when I moved to Mexico, I sold all of my hair stuff. I literally don't I sold it all to my friends or I donated to the school. And when I moved to Mexico, I started writing and I started podcasting because that's when I truly felt like I can be who I truly am and who I want to be because nobody knows me here based on my past. That was also a challenging thing about healing in a city that broke me is because everybody knew me based on my past. And also, I had a lot of clients that would come to me very frequently. So the clients would want the gossip. They would want to know the
The
updates.
tea, yeah, yeah.
Like, So it's hard to move past it when Susie is coming in and she wants to catch up on what happened last month, you know? So that was really difficult. So totally switched over. And I always say, like, if anybody listening to this, if you are at rock bottom, I want you to know you're in the best possible place because you have a fresh slate to create the life that you want and to create a version of yourself that you've always wanted. So I think rock bottom is actually one of the biggest blessings.
Because the only way is up.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
So, Aneta, can you share with us your journey about climbing that from rock bottom to where you are right now? What did you have to do? The ugly side of things and then the good side of things, the support that you had and have right now.
Yeah, I'm forever thankful for the support of my parents. They are honestly the only people that have been on the journey through it all. Like, they were there when I was going through the challenging times with my ex-husband. They helped me move out and they I was able to stay at their place while I was figuring things out. So I'm forever thankful for that. And they've supported every endeavor that I've had, and I'm really grateful for that. But when I moved to Mexico, I found an apartment that I can sublet from somebody, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds good." But then I kind of took that offer back and I said, I need to get familiar with the area. I don't know Spanish. I've never been to Mexico City. I don't know anybody. I don't get
If
me.
I felt pulled to go to Mexico and start a new life, let's just do it.
I heard the tacos were good, so I was like, you know
Yeah.
what? Let's go try the tacos. And I had this feeling that I was gonna like it, but I didn't know I would fall in love so much. So my first 2 months there, I actually stayed in hostels for 2 months. So I didn't stay at a place for more than a week. I think the last hostel that I stayed there for 2 weeks because I was waiting for the apartment that I wanted to open up. But when I was in those hostels, was actually my first time staying in those kinds of I don't know how you would phrase it, in those kinds of places when you're traveling. But I met so many incredible people, and I wouldn't change it for the world because there's people come and go. And I met some of my best friends there, and I've actually met a lot of writers. So I told myself that I was going to stay at a hostel until I wrote and finished my book. So I gave myself a 2 month time frame, and then that was kind of like my reward after publishing my book was getting a whole apartment. So I wouldn't change it for the world.
So you went there by yourself, solo, and then you met all of these beautiful people that you know call friends. So that must have been. I went to the States last year, and I went to the hostels too. I wanted to see what's it like. I wanted to see, feel it, if I love it, and I've always wanted to go to the States. But it's like right now, the universe has had me on ready mode for a while until things starts to settle down in the States and whatnot, and then just keep building. So I do have like I don't know. I felt pulled towards Mexico or Costa Rica, probably because these are like the vortices in the world where it's like very healing. And when I went to the States, I met one lady from Playa del Carmen, I think, and she kept saying, "Hey, it's beautiful. You need to come. This if you do retreats, come here." And so, and I've been asking ChatGPT too, based on what you know about me, where I want to go. My aspirations are, where should I go? So he's listing me all these things. And so, okay, I want to go back to the part where you jumped from being a hairstylist to what you're doing now. So what's your day to day look like now that, but you're back in your parents' place, right? I think. Are you going? Your home base is Mexico.
I came to visit my family for Easter, but I didn't come visit for Christmas or New Year's, so I decided to stay here for a little longer this time. And, I love what I do now because now I get to help people overcome what I once struggled with. what made me stand out as a hairstylist and what helped me create a loyal clientele was one thing, and that was I educated my clients. So many times when I went to the hairstylist growing up. I always hated my hair. I had no idea what to do with it. And when I would go to the hairstylist, she wouldn't tell me anything. She wouldn't tell me what shampoo to use. She wouldn't tell me how often should I be washing it or any of that. And that really frustrated me. So when I went to beauty school, I made it my mission to feel comfortable and confident in my own skin and with my hair and with my makeup so I can help others. And when I had clients in my chair, I would teach them how to use their products. I would teach them how to shampoo their hair at home, curly, straight, whatever it is, because I know I'm somebody that likes to travel. So if you are traveling, if you're my client and you're traveling, I want you to know how to style your hair for an event if you're out of town. So you don't have to call me or you don't have to go to some random hair salon that you don't even trust. So my biggest thing was education. And I knew that I couldn't educate as much as I wanted to. If I can only get 5 clients in my chair that day, then I can only educate 5 people. So after I overcame a lot of the challenges in my past, I really want to share it with other people. Because if I got into such an unhealthy relationship at a young age, how many people out there are in unhealthy relationships? And that's when I started the writing and the podcasting.
So talk to us about your approach that you use on yourself and you help people, your clients now.
I can't be there for somebody if I can't be there for myself. Always encourage people, fall in love with yourself because if you can't fall in love with yourself, you can't teach it. You never want to take advice from a doctor who didn't go to medical school. So if you can't fill your cup, you can't fill other people's cups. It doesn't matter if you're single, you're in a relationship, you're married, or you're just getting over a breakup. You need to date yourself in all aspects. Go get your favorite cup of coffee. Go take yourself out to your favorite lunch. Tell yourself you love yourself. So when somebody else tells you that they love you, it's a genuine compliment, but you're not expecting it or you're not looking for them to tell you you're beautiful. Because when you're looking for somebody to tell you you're beautiful, you're looking for their approval versus it's a genuine compliment. So it's really understanding the difference of it's a genuine gesture or if you're looking for approval. And you should always look for approval within yourself, not other people.
Hitting facts, Aneta. Remember this, I think 2 years. So I got divorced in 2019. So 2020, I went into all modalities that I could have my hands on: astronomy, astrology, anything. Physics, quantum physics, like what's the meaning of life and who am I or what am I doing here? If one person can love me, the person that I at least devoted myself to at the time because I loved him very much, if that person couldn't love me, who am I, right? It's like I tied my self-worth to him and his love towards me. And I knew that was wrong, but I couldn't stop operating from that because I figured now that it was actually my programming since I was a kid that I needed to prove my worth to my dad. Now, don't get me wrong, I love my parents. I mean, I am who I am because of them. A big factor of that. But then, like you said, they only knew what they knew and they did the best that they could as parents because I believe this is their first time being parents in this lifetime too. And so I'm the eldest. So they had to do what they knew then. And so I had to unpack a lot of the meaning interpretation that I put towards a certain events and how it had impacted me and I deciphered it one way when I was a kid, but I had to re-evaluate or strip it of all its meaning and then put a new meaning to it. That can be very painful and very, it can distort your thinking. It can disorient you for a while. And so your story, I know and I can feel you've done a lot of work on yourself. And what is your I guess, tools or strategies for you to help somebody who's listening to this right now and saying, and thinking that, okay, this is what I need. This is the message that I needed to hear today.
Yeah, there's a variety of things that we can go down into, but I always recommend work on being 1% better than who you were yesterday. And in order to do that, understand what is it that you want? Do you want to be more fit? Do you want to help others? Do you want to excel in your career? If you're working at a job, whether it's a corporate or at the salon, for example, I can talk off the salon experience, but I can sit there and I can compare my haircuts and my hair color to everybody else that's working at the salon. But that's not going to do me any good because some of those people are brand new. Some of those people have been working at the salon for 5 years, 10 years, 30 years, even. And I needed to focus on the work that I was doing from the previous work and how I was able to improve that. So, if you want to be more fit, work on drinking an extra glass of water a day. If you want to be more mindful of your thoughts, work on taking a deep breath before you talk. Like if you're around somebody who can trigger you or somebody who is constantly talking your ears off, before giving a response, take a deep breath and really think it through if you're trying to work on mindfulness. Think of ways that you can be 1% better than who you were the day before. If you look at a picture of a staircase and there's 30 steps in front of you, you're not going to go from one and jump to the 30th. You're going to do one step at a time. And that one step at a time is getting you 1% better. So that's what I always encourage is never stop dating yourself and get 1% better.
Thank you. And also surrounding yourself with the right people also plays a big role. Yeah, I also moved my life from a place that I called home for the last 15 years and I moved back to my parents' place. And I want to say to people, there's nothing wrong with that. I get to be with them a lot more. I left home when I was very young, 17, and ventured for about 15 years. And so I'm back home. And, to come and see them, they're a bit older than when I left them. And I do not want to miss those chance or that chance that I have right now with them. And so while I'm at it, I'm also building, I'm also still talking to people. I've made a complete shift from corporate. Not to say that I'm not going back. I don't know when, but right now it's about having faith and just work on getting better than who I was yesterday. Or just, have that, I think, frequent introspection about where you are, and where you want to be, but then don't ever forget that the only thing that you have is now, is the present moment. Yeah, that's what I like to add up on that, Aneta. Yes.
Yeah, I just want to add, never be ashamed of who you are and where you are. Don't, like I said, don't compare your chapter 1 to somebody's chapter 10 and don't look at social media. Social media is all the good stuff, but nobody posts the in between. Nobody posts the bad or the ugly. They only post the good or what they want to show. So that's why, when you are also changing your social circles, yes, you will go through an isolation phase. Yes, you will go through a phase where it's solely you, but I'm a firm believer that if it works out for you, it's God's direction. If it doesn't work out for you, it's God's protection. And sometimes He puts you through that isolation phase so you go to Him and only Him for a period of time, and then He will eventually reveal people to you that are going to help you get to the next level that you wish to desire or the level that you desire. So don't ever feel bad if you're taking the road less traveled. A bus has 30 seats, a Lamborghini has 2 seats. And that's something that's also like an image that keeps me going as well or helps keep me motivated is yeah, the road less traveled may be a little lonely, but do you really have friends if you're in a group of 30 people? How many of those people can you call a real friend. It's lonely, but it doesn't look lonely. So choose your road less traveled.
I love that. So, Anita, how has your approach towards romantic relationship shifted from where you were before to right now?
So much.
Okay.
I think my mindset has changed a lot because before what was making the relationship with my ex-husband so toxic is that I was relying on him to fix and fill a gap and a hole in me, and he was relying on me to fill a gap and a hole for him. And what I've realized is that that's not how it should be because that's how you end up bumping heads all the time. And that's why I go back it goes back to building a solid foundation for yourself because a partnership is two people who are stable in their own life and they come together and add to each other. They're not trying to knock one another down. They're genuinely looking to add. So if I'm taking care of myself, I'm dating myself, I'm talking positive things to myself and telling myself that I love myself every day, and the other person is too, then when we come together, it's not their responsibility to make me happy, or it's not my responsibility to make them happy. It's us bringing our happiness together and creating from there. So you're not looking to fill a void for someone and vice versa. It's become your best self first, and you will eventually attract a person that you're meant to be with and someone who is on that wavelength, and then you can add to each other.
I love that. I'm so compelled to ask. So, is there a special someone at the moment? Because my journey, I tried, but right now, I don't know. I have yet to find that person or that I can, I mean, I always believe this the people that I meet, be it a friend or a romantic relationship, it's like a mirror. These people are holding their mirror. It's like their mirror to what I need to work on. So, say there are things that may still trigger me or just that invokes certain emotion or feelings, and it's a cue for me to just go deeper and say, "Oh, I have not looked at this part of myself just yet. I needed to. There's something I probably still put under the rug, and right now it's time for me to heal this." And so, yeah, and I also believe in divine timing. And yeah, what about you?
Don't have like a special person right now, but that's okay. Because if you think about it, if you're looking to settle down and be serious and spend the rest of your life with somebody, it's better if it takes its time. It's kind of like I really don't cook that much, but sometimes I did when I was living in Chicago. And I had a slow cooker, like a little crock pot. And that sometimes that takes up to 7 hours if you want it to be good. And I would make a soup in there and I'd be like 7, 8 hours. But it was so tasty after the
Because it marinates the flavors.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
everything's
So it's like good things do take time, you know. It's if you plant a seed and you don't see it come up in 2 weeks, you never go dig it up and be like, hey, are you ready? You wait for it and you wait
yes.
patiently. You continue to water it, give it the sunlight that it needs. And that's the same thing. Keep watering yourself, keep taking care of yourself, and eventually the right people will come.
I love that. I can feel we're like a soul tribe. I wish. Which part of Mexico are you residing?
Mexico City. So it's interesting.
The city itself?
Yeah, it's really interesting. So it's like the country is Mexico, the state is Mexico, the city is Mexico City.
So the postal address would be Mexico, Mexico, Mexico.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. I have yet to go to Mexico. I heard it's lovely there. It's very vibrant. Now I have somebody to call, a friend there. Who knows? We can get connected in the future.
Take
I
me to
never.
all the good taco stands.
Yes,
That was
please.
my initial reason to go.
Yes, and I don't mind like when I go traveling, especially if it's a long period of time, at least a month or 2 months. I don't mind staying in hostel because I think this is where you really get to feel the experience, the culture, and also the people because they're not okay. Hostels, You meet different people from different parts of the world, but also you get to really look at the delicacies, yes, but also the culture, like at the heart of it. Like, yeah, I mean, it's nice to live in Hilton, or I don't know if they have Hilton or Sheraton, the Sheratons, but then it's different when you immerse yourself.
It's really if you're going to another country, I encourage you to get familiar with the culture, and that's the best way is you're gonna meet so many people. You know, it's interesting because I think, like, after my first month, I um, made a friend there, and he's like, "Yeah, I just moved to Mexico City, like, a couple of weeks ago," and I'm like, "Wow, that's so cool," and, like, we were, like, on this journey together and supporting each other, so if I didn't stay at hostels, I wouldn't have met him, and, you know, it's really cool, so you never know who you're gonna meet.
Is it safe? As an Asian, it's
You
safe.
would be surprised. There's so many, like, there's this one area or in Mexico City, it's called like Zona Rosa, and it's all Asian stores, all Asian bars,
No
like
way.
it's a whole community. Like you would
Oh
love
my God. Okay. Okay. I can feel it.
you
Yay.
would love
Okay.
it. Like and it's so interesting. Like I would always like go into like the Asian stores and like go get like the stuff like your culture's like groceries and I'm like, "Ah, this is
Yes.
just
Yes.
in Mexico out of all places."
Ooh, the best of both worlds. Yeah, if I miss my Malaysian cooking or Asian or Japanese, then I just go there. But then I get to also savor the Mexican food. Ah,
Yeah, it's the best of
brilliant.
worlds, I'm telling you. And like I lived like really close to there, so like where I lived it was like also like a good mix of the community as well.
Oh my God, I think I would love it. Okay, so okay, I might need to start thinking about coming up with a plan on how to get myself to Mexico.
All
Um,
support from here.
sorry?
All support from my side.
Aw, thank you. I'll be sure to reach out to you. Like, I need all the support that I need. Okay, where do I go for like, hostels and whatnot, right? I mean, we can search, but it's so different when somebody who's actually been there and lived through those experiences. Okay.
Yeah, and you know, it's interesting because like I lived in like a lot of different parts of Mexico City, which is great, but like I also like really did like I lived in like the most like local parts and then the most like touristy parts and then eventually like I found like my happy medium, but then like I also found like an area that reminded me of Chicago, but it was also so far. So like I've in like 11 months, I've lived in a lot of different areas and experienced, so let me know. It's my favorite thing to talk about.
I will. And how's your parents taking all of this? How are they taking?
At first, they were confused. They were like, "Doesn't make sense," but they've definitely adjusted to it, and I kinda, like, left this part out a little bit, but I didn't really tell them I was moving. I just said I was going on vacation for 6 weeks,
And it ended up to be
and a year
let them,
later.
yeah. Well, they'll adjust, like they'll ease into it after about, a few months they're there. Oh, I can understood. But she's coming back. I'm coming back. Just they just got really comfortable here.
Yeah, I was
Ah,
like, "Sorry," it's just, like, got so
the
it's like
t-
I feel like people in Mexico, like, lose track of time because they truly enjoy the present moment. Like, I'll give
wow.
you this one story. So, it's, like, 3 days before Christmas, and I
Oh
asked
my
my
God, they're so huge about their celebrations.
Yes, and I actually met another girl from Chicago there, and I was like, "Oh my God, like, hey, are you going home for the holidays?" She's like, "Yeah, I just talked to my mom today. I told her I'm gonna go visit for Christmas." And I was like, "Well, did you get your ticket?" She goes, "No, I'll get it when it's closer to Christmas." I'm like, "Girl, Christmas is in 3 days." She goes, "Oh my God, I lost track of time. I guess I'm not going home for the holiday."
Wow, it's like so vibrant, right? Like they just have a good time all the time.
All the time. You just lose track of time because 'cause you're just enjoying everything.
Wow. Oh my, because I was talking to a friend yesterday and we were like, okay, what's your top 10 travel destination? What is one place or any other places besides Malaysia that you can go where you can visit your family at least 4 times a year? So I was listing all of this stuff, and then I saw Mexico, but it was in Tulum. I heard, yeah, I heard a lot of things about Tulum, but of course, this was from ChatGPT as well. And I don't know, Tulum is good for, retreats and whatnot, but maybe Mexico City for, the living, the lifestyle of it, right?
Tulum can get hot though because they're like it's a lot more humid there. But I think
Oh,
my city has like the best weather. It's
is
not
it?
that hot and humid, and it's like jeans and a hoodie and you'll be good. So it's really nice.
Brilliant. Awesome. Okay, one more points for me to visit there. So, okay, Aneta, what are you working on currently? What's exciting?
Yeah, so right now I am working on writing another book, but also aside from that, I'm working on creating live virtual summits. So I'm actually hosting my first Nourished Inside Out live virtual summit at the end of May, May 24th and May 25th, to really cultivate that community because at the end of the day, when you're going through an isolation phase or you're looking to grow and to heal, but you need guidance, that's what I really want to do is to create that community within so people know they're not alone. You and I both went through challenging times in unhealthy relationships and we felt alone. And I don't want people to feel like that. So that's why I've also created the community and the summit that's going to be coming up.
Let us pivot to a self-worth question.
Yeah.
So the question that I have for you, that's in my mind right now. So how has your definition of self-worth evolved over time right now? And do you think it fluctuates?
I think my definition of self-worth has really improved. And I'm really happy to say that because before I was in a constant state of people pleasing. I was in a constant state of I need to be good because I want my parents to see that I'm doing good, or I want my ex-husband to see that I am a good person. But what I didn't know is I already had it within me and I just didn't believe it. And now I actually do believe that I am worthy and that I am lovable and all of those things. So it definitely took some time, but I wouldn't change the journey for the world because the journey is where we get shaped into who we're supposed to be. And now, today, I can honestly say that I love who I am and I love the person that I've become and the person that I'm evolving to.
I feel that. And I love you for that. You've done a lot of work on yourself. I can never understand unless I walk a mile in your shoes. But then coming from somebody who's lived somewhat similar experience as you have lived, I truly appreciate you coming up and then sharing your story and actually helping people to do the same and letting them know they're not alone. So thank you.
I appreciate the opportunity to be here and I appreciate the space that you've created for people because it's so important as well as that's what it takes, nothing great has been created by solely one person. It may start as a one-man show, but it takes a village to create something great. And I'm really honored and thankful for what you're creating.
Thank you. What is your heart's greatest wish?
My heart's greatest wish is to become the best version of myself every day and create an impact on other people in these areas because they're not talked about enough. Coming from a foreign family that we grew up in the States, it's not talked about enough. And we need to spread more education about finding your self-worth, healing your childhood trauma, and creating positive communities because those are not popular enough. And we need to create more positive communities for people to fit in and to have their safe spaces. So continue creating that impact and helping others on their healing journeys.
And for those of you listening, you feel like you want to change the world, you can start with yourself and you can start with one person at a time.
I was watching this video the other day, and she was saying that if you love your family the way that you say you love your family, Are you willing to work out? Are you willing to eat healthy so you can be the best version for yourself? Are you willing to make good financial decisions for yourself so you can be the best version of yourself for your family? And that really hit home because it's like, yeah, like if you say you love your friends and your family and your spouse, are you willing to be the best version of yourself? Because if you're not, then do you really mean what you say?
Man, that's so powerful. Oh, okay. Before we close off, Aneta, is if there is, you could create a quote right now for you to leave to the audience listening and the world as your legacy, what would it be?
If I could leave one quote, I would say, every time you fall down, get back up one more time. Because that resilience to get back up one more time just might be that game changer. That just might be, that could be the breakthrough when you get up one more time. The difference between someone who fell down 20 and someone who stayed down 20 times, the one who got up one more time, and that made the difference. So no matter how many times life throws a curveball at you, get back up. And remember, when you are facing setbacks, it's a blessing because it's pushing you. Like, think about it this way. If you have a bow and arrow and you pull the bow back once, or the arrow, you pull the arrow, there we go. You pull it back, that's a setback. You pull it back one more time, that's another setback. One more time, another setback. That's the further you pull it back, the further you're going to go forward. So look at your setbacks as blessings to push you even further than what you can imagine.
What a way to close our interview today. So, Aneta, where can people reach out to you and listen to your podcast? And also, just if they want to work with you or just attend your workshops or virtual summits, where can they do that?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at Aneta.Waclaw, on Substack. That's usually where I do my writing at Nourished Inside Out. And then my podcast is Nourished Inside Out on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube.
Beautiful. So, any last message, Aneta, before we wrap up the interview for all listeners?
Whoever's listening to this, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for taking the step to take time out of your day and listen to this because you're not broken. You're on the right path. Things may be confusing, things may seem challenging because you're growing into a version of yourself that you haven't been yet. So be gentle with yourself and know that I'm proud of you and you should be too.
Thank you. And that is a wrap for our episode today with Aneta Waclaw. Thank you for your work to continue to uplift the world and inspire those around you. And those listening right now, this has been Your Wordless. Read that again, the juxtaposition of your very soul. Now, if you've ever felt wordless, remember you are not alone. Your soul chose to be here and to matter. And for that reason alone, you are worthy. A huge thank you to you again, Aneta, and to all of you for listening. Until next time, I am Nick Nieras. Keep shining, keep growing, and always remember, you are worthy and you are enough. See you in the next episode. Thank you, Aneta, for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, Aneta. How are you doing today? Good evening to you.
Good. How are you, Nicolette? It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for reaching out and for saying yes to be interviewed today. I'm doing very well. I cannot wait to get into our conversation today. But first off, let me introduce you to all of our listeners before we get right into the conversation. So, hello everyone. We have Aneta Waclaw here with us. Aneta is an author, speaker, and host of Nourished Inside Out, where she empowers people to heal from unhealthy relationships and take a leap of faith to create the life of their dreams. Now, after experiencing her own journey of breaking free from a toxic relationship, she turned her pain into purpose. Now, she helps others rebuild their self-worth, rewire their mindset, and step into the life they truly deserve. Now, her approach blends emotional healing, neuroscience, and holistic wellness to guide people from surviving to thriving. Wow, and it's a much needed conversation. Welcome to the show. Love this episode? Now, transformation doesn't end here. Head on to at holistic.lifestyle_with Nick. That is on my Instagram. Or head on to my website, www.denise.holisticlifestyle.com for more info on my coaching framework, which is the Worthy, Authentic, and Abundant Framework, digital guides, and my upcoming events such as retreats and master classes and workshops. Now, I also do intuitive readings where we get to check